Alright, so we're gonna get into the time where, I was dating, Rocky Giovanni. Nah, man. And I'm gonna get into, who she is and all that, you know. So anyway, now, I gotta get into how I met Rocky Giovanni, who I had a crush on for like years before I met her. And I mean, Rocky Giovanni used to be, like this fitness influencer, you know what I mean? An entrepreneur and all that. But let me get into how I met her, man. How I do. Let's get right to the story. So anyway, I'm chilling in the studio, you know what I mean, with Lil Bro Platinum. Shout out to Platinum. And we working on some music, you know what I mean? So, my phone starts ringing, I get a voice call from my nigga King68 the Great. Shout out to King68 the Great. Look him up on YouTube. So King68, the Great calls me. Lower the music. I'm like, yo, King, what up? So King, he hit me up, see what's up, cause he originally from New York. I'm originally from New York, He was living in Queens before he moved to Staten Island, so, we know each other from back home. Even though he moved to Miami and he's been doing this thing online, so King68 was like, yo, man, he was like that. He want to celebrate, having, 1 million followers now on Instagram and, the success of his YouTube channel and moving to Miami. He just wanted to, have a yacht party. He wanted to have a celebration. So he wanted to know if I could come down, 4th of July weekend, because 4th of July weekend was falling on a Friday that year. So, I'm like, sure, I'll come down. I was like, yo, I'm gonna bring my nigga Platinum, and then that's when I, turned the phone to my nigga Platinum. Platinum's, did the salute, congratulated him on his success, you know what I mean? We let, King hear some of the music. He was like, yo, that fire. He was like, yeah, I can't wait to see y'all niggas. And I was like, yeah, no doubt. Nah, we do, nigga, family for life. So, boom, get off the, call with King68 the Great. Me and Platinum go back to making music. So, me and Platinum, we fly in Miami that Wednesday. Nah, man, cause, Miami was like a spot where me and Plat like to go and hang out and get away from the drama, you know what I mean? And fuck with the ladies out there, So, we fly into Miami, you know what I'm saying? We had a driver pick us up, take us to the Airbnb. We was renting this flyer at Airbnb. We chilled, for most of the day, till the next day. Met up with my nigga King, my nigga King68 the Great, Pound hog, I ain't see my nigga in a minute, I'm congratulating him. Like, yeah, you that nigga, I seen, I telling him how I seen him online. With Sexy Red and all the ladies and shit, I was like, nigga, you doing your thing, nigga, I'm proud of you, nigga. He was, smiling and shit. And he was like, nee, I get it from you, nigga, you fly ass nigga, me, I stay fly. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, it's New York, nigga, Introducing the Platinum, show love Platinum, told Platinum that he fucks with his music, he be listening to his music when he work out. So we went shopping that day, me, Platinum, and King68 the Great, so, we went shopping. So we can get ready for the yacht party that King is throwing and shit, you know what I mean? So we shopping and shit, and if you ever seen my nigga King68 the Great, when he walked through the mall, it's like fucking Kobe Bryant or somebody, walking through the mall, all the ladies be on him. Everybody coming to shake his hand, take pictures, videos, all that shit, you know what I mean? So, it's like being with a real live NBA player, you know what I mean? So, we getting the attention from the ladies. Me and Platinum, we holding our own and shit with the ladies, cause, we fly dipped up, iced out, Jerry. So, we went shopping, bought some clothes, got some fits, you know what I'm saying? Cool. Then we went back to King68, spot, cause he wanted to show us the spot that he copped in Miami. Fly spot, we like, alright, cool. So, chill, we chilled, kicked it, with my nigga King and shit, went shopping, did all that to get ready for his yacht party, which was that Friday. So, we told him, yo, we gonna get up with you at the, yacht party, whatever. Cool, so out. So when me and Platinum was heading back to the Airbnb we went in, he was like, yo, big bro, he said we should get like a Ferrari or a Corvette, jet car, watercraft car. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So he showed me like some videos on YouTube where it's like a car, it's like a car, like a Lamborghini, Ferrari, whatever, but it goes on water. It's like a jet ski, but it's built like a car, with 2 driver seats and all that. You can get any style you want. I'm like, alright, that's different. He said, yo, if we pull up in this shit, nigga, we gonna be shitting on niggas. So, I let, Platinum talk me into, making reservations to order the jet car, the watercraft shit, so we can pull up to the, to the yacht party and that. Cool. So, try to order it online. They was like, cool. They said, all we gotta do is come in, show our IDs, pay with the credit card, whatever. So we go down, we show ID, that it was still early in that day. We go down, show ID and shit. They said they're gonna meet us at one spot, and then we could drive it to the next spot. Cool. So now is the day of the yacht party. So now, me and Platinum, we, throw on our matching short sets, fly ass short sets, Gucci sneakers, Prada sneakers, whatever, Louis Vuitton shades, Versace shade, whatever, jewelry, watches, rings, chains, whatever, fly, what I'm saying? And pull up. The guy gave us 2 light jackets, and he said, there's gonna be another guy waiting on the other side where the yacht party at to take the watercraft, jet car from us when we get there, so that way we ain't gotta worry about it. Cool. So we get in the jet car. Boom, so we riding on the water, that shit bouncing and shit. I'm like, oh shit. But it was a red Corvette. Of course, Platinum wanted to get the red joint because, he blood and shit. So we got this red Corvette jet car, which is like, watercraft. So we driving on water. I'm in the passenger seat, Platinum driving all crazy, he doing donuts and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? So we bouncing and shit, riding on the waves and shit. So I'm like, damn. So we riding, cruising to get to the... So he like, yo, man, he said, I hope we don't miss the yacht, because we were supposed to be at a certain time. I said, hold up. So I call King 68 while we riding. King picks up. He like, yo, where y'all niggas at, man, waiting on y'all? I was like, yo, we pulling up now. I was like, we had to stop to get the jet car, them watercraft shits that they be having in Dubai. They got them in Miami now. He's like, nigga, you always stunting, nigga, ball ass nigga. So I said, we should be pulling up now. He said, is this your yacht right here? And then he was like, yeah, I see y'all niggas. And then that's when everybody on the yacht started cheering because they was waiting for us. So we pulling up, So everybody's taking pictures, got their phone out because they ain't, they ain't never seen shit like this, You only see shit like this in Dubai, but this is when they just started bringing them shits to Miami. So we pulling up. Everybody got their phones out, taking pictures and shit. They like, oh shit, look at these niggas pulling up in a fucking Corvette. A red Corvette on water. They're like, that shit crazy. So we pulling up and shit, everybody cheering. We get out, the other guy that worked for the company that we rented the jet car from. He takes the life jackets from us and, he's like, alright, so he gets in it. So now we ain't gotta worry about taking it back and shit. So when me and Platinum is walking on, as soon as we step on the motherfucking yacht and we walk past these chicks, I overheard a chick saying, yo, who the fuck are they? You know how say, like the way she said it, she's like, yo, who the fuck are they? Like, and then that's when me and Platinum looked at each other, we started smiling and we like, yeah, let's go be lit. So as we walk on, that nigga my nigga King 68, he like, y'all look y'all, you like, y'all fly ass niggas, so, we giving them pounds. He was like, y'all niggas always stunned. He was like, nigga, fuck. So he like, yeah, nigga, we like, yeah, congratulations, nigga, man, your followers, nigga, on Instagram, nigga. You doing it big, we cheering them on. You're like, yeah. So, now it's getting lit, so now the yacht, it pulls off and shit. Music is playing, Girls is twerking, niggas is chilling, drinks is flowing, even the lounge drink, we chilling. So we know we on a yacht, we chilling, you know what I'm saying? So we chilling and shit, music is flowing, the girls is twerking. And I noticed they had the girl, with the big fake booty, but she got a cute face. Zamina Orr, she was there. And Celine Castle, the Spanish chick with the big fat ass, So they both had my attention. And it wasn't until I looked to the left and I seen this thick ass one with these big ass thighs. And then I was like, and I said to myself, oh shit, that's Rocky Giovanni. Now, I had the biggest fucking crush on Rocky Giovanni, from when she was on her fitness journey, to even after she had her baby. Now, this was around the time after she had her baby. This was probably like a year after she had her baby, or a year or two or whatever. And I'm like, my mouth was just wide open, like literally my mouth was open. My heart stopped because I'm like, oh shit, that's Rocky Giovanni. Like, I'd never seen a woman with thighs like Rocky Giovanni, and it was just a plus that she had a fat ass, like, even when she was on her muscular shit, she had a fat ass and big legs. But now that after she had the baby, the body was more, oh my God. And she was like 250, but the thing is, her 250 was different. Like I said, go to YouTube, look up Rocky G and type 250, and you'll see what I mean. It's a video of her at 250 pounds, and she still was banging, like even when she was at 310 pounds, her body was banging. But oh my God. So anyway, so when I seen Rocky Giovanni, my mouth was just open. I'm like, and I grabbed Platinum, and I'm like, and I'm breathing heavy in my mouth. He was like, he was like, what's up? So he thought I was looking at maybe, the Zahima chick, or, Selena Castle. I'm like, yo, that's Rocky. And I'm like, damn it, out of breath. I'm like, yo, that's Rocky Giovanni. That's Rocky Giovanni. He like, who? So that's when I started going to my phone, and I started pulling up all my favorite videos from her in the past and how she looked now. He didn't know who she was. Platinum, he's a skinny dude, but he was like, yo, that's a big girl. I was like, I know. I was like, yo, I got that. I was like, I love that. I was like, I love that, that girl. I was like, I love that bitch, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to her, that's just how I was talking. I was like, I love that bitch. Oh my God, I gotta say something. So, I straightened up, made sure I was, and I walked over to her now. The whole time Rocky Giovanni got her head down with her sunglasses on, and she's just typing, and as I get closer in my head, I'm thinking, God damn, look at them legs, the cast, the legs, just sitting right. Body's still banging. I'm like, oh my God. So my heart beating fast. So I'm walking up. I seen her sister Christina was sitting next to her. She's drinking. And this gay dude that's like her best friend named Moody. And now how I know their names is because, Rocky Giovanni has a show, or had a show on YouTube, called Rocky's World. You know what I mean? So I knew everything. Like I said, I've been following this woman since 2017, you know what I mean? So I go out to her, and she's still, with her head down, texting on her phone with her sunglasses. And she was like, I'm like, yo, I'm like, Rocky, how you doing? And, she's still looking down on her phone. She was like, who is saying my name? Then she looks up, and she's like, oh. So then she takes her glasses off. I put my hand on, I'm like, how you doing? I'm Tony. And she didn't, I started saying how I'm a big fan. I've been following her since 2017. I was like, I was like, congratulations on your son Power, and I started just running all her stats, told him behind on the show. I'm like, what up, Moody? Shook his hand, say, how you doing, Christina, to her sister. And she was like, oh, so she was like, you know me, no? I was like, yeah. I was like, mind if I sit, next to you or whatever? But first I asked for a picture. I was like, mind if I get a picture, right? Then she said, nah. So she stood up. Oh my God, that's ass like a horse, my nigga. She stood up. Boom. I'm like, oh shit. So, of course I'm fly, you know what I mean? Got my sunglasses on, shirt open so she could see the six-pack. You know what I mean? We take a picture together. So I was like, yo, Mom, I sit with you and talk, right? She was like, nah. She was like, might as well. She was like, this, party's kind of whack. So I sat next to her. I'm like, why is whack? She was like, cuz, she was like, this ain't really her crowd, you know what I mean? She's more sophisticated. She only came because her sister's, a little young and hot shit. So I'm like, no doubt. So I started talking, we kicking it, I'm kicking game. You know what I mean? Whole boat ride, I'm talking to her, she laughing and shit. You know what I mean? We getting to know each other, you know what I mean? I'm laying my charm on and shit, cause around this time, her kid's father who was King Kong, like this big nigga that bodyguards for the baby, that's her baby father. They wasn't together at this time, you know, they off on and shit. So they wasn't together at this time, so I'm kicking my game, you know, telling her, you know, how much I loved her, and like, yo, man, I always thought me and you was gonna get married. I was a little jealous when you had your baby, but you know, I'm shooting my shot now, you know what I mean? And then she was like, you must be from New York. I was like, yeah, I'm from New York. She was like, yeah. She was like that. Her mom's R.I.P. You know what I mean? Her mom's is from New York too. You know, 'cause her mother was Puerto Rican. Her father's Haitian. So she's Puerto Rican and black, basically. So I'm kicking my game. She was like, you know, she always like hot niggas from New York and straightforward. So next thing you know, when the yacht is about to pull back in, because we was on the water for probably about, maybe 2 hours of shit. You know, some drama happened, you know, girls and shit arguing, you know, pushing and shoving, you know, King 6'8" and all of them, and the security, they trying to break it up and calm it down and shit, you know, 'cause I guess one of the girls that was with King 6'8" might have felt some other way about another girl that wanted to take a picture, or maybe thought he was being too, for some shit happened. And I ain't even pay that no mind. So I'm like, you know, I was like, I hope this ain't the last time I see you, 'cause, you know, she was like, nah. She was like, take my number down. I was like, so I took her and I said, this is probably a fake number. This is probably like a Google number. She was like, nah, ring it right now. So when I ring it, you know, her phone rang. And then my real name popped up, you know, which I ain't mind 'cause it's Rocky Giovanni. She was like, okay. So she, you know, she said, I'm gonna text you tonight. You know, maybe we can hang out tonight 'cause, you know, the night's still young. I said, alright. I was like, I'm gonna hold you to that. And she was like, matter of fact, just call me. She said, call me like around 10:30. She said, call at 10:30. She said she's gonna go home, get the baby situated, you know what I mean? Make sure to sit in everything good. And, you know, we could kick it. So I'm like, alright, cool. So me and you know, so Platinum was like, yo, he was like, you really feeling that big girl, right? 'Cause, you know, to like, you know, to other men, she might be big, but to a real man like me, that's all woman, boy, you don't know. Even at 250, nigga, Rocky G is a shit, you feel me? So I'm like, you motherfucking right, nigga, that's Rocky Giovanni, nigga. He just looking at me like who? I'm like, nigga, you wouldn't understand. So anyway, so we leave, you know me, Platinum, and King 6'8", you know, King, he pulled me to the side. He was like, is it alright that we bring all the girls to me and Platinum's Airbnb, 'cause he don't want everybody knowing where he lives. So I'm like, sure. So we get there. We go to my, you know, and Platinum's Airbnb, me, King, you know, like 4 or 5 of the girls he had already with him. Couple his niggas, you know what I mean? And then he gave out the address, so, you know, mad girls followed. So it was like, maybe like another 5 or 7 girls that came, you know what I mean? And everybody's chilling at the, you know, at the Airbnb, you know what I mean? Which was cool. We didn't mind the girls come because also King 6'8", you know, had, you know, security and shit. You know what I mean? You know, armed security. So we was good. So it's around 10:30. Everybody starts leaving and shit. You know what I mean? And, you know, Platinum's chilling with like this one chick, they kicking it. And, you know, King 6'8", he's leaving and shit. You know what I mean? Him and his entourage, they leaving. Couple of the girls are leaving. One of the girls is feeling me, but, well, I kept looking at the time. I'm just waiting to call Rocky G. She's at the call at 10:30. So after King and them left, you know, Platinum and the chick he was feeling they went in his room, and I guess they was kicking it. It was just me there chilling, you know what I mean? And it was this other girl that was with the girl that's with Platinum, but she fell asleep drunk on the couch. So 10:30, I call Rocky G phone, it rings and rings, it goes a voicemail. I'm like, fuck, you know. So I didn't want to leave a voicemail, so I hung up and I started texting her. And, you know, right in the middle of me texting, the phone rings, Rocky G name pops up. I'm like, oh shit, so I answered it. And she was like, yeah, she said, you know, I was in the middle of, you know, getting my son together. She was like, what's up? I was like, I'm good, chilling, bored, you know. She was like, so, what you want to do? Like, I was like, you know, we could do whatever, you know what I mean? We could go out, get something to eat, you know what I mean? Or, you know, chill at the Airbnb here, whatever you want to do. So she was like, well, I'm gonna come to the Airbnb, pick you up. So that way we gotta be cooped up at the house about like that. And, right around Miami, hit a few spots, alright, cool. So she picks me up, Rocky Giovanni got a G-Wagon, you know what I mean? White G-Wagon, she pulls up. I get in passenger seat, so we driving. We just talking, you know what I mean? I'm cracking a few jokes and shit, she laughing at shit, I'm telling jokes that I heard from the old TV show Calming View and all that shit, cause I'm a few years older than Rocky G, so she dying laughing, I'm cracking the jokes and shit, we kicking it. So we go to the hookah lounge, so we can get more acquainted, kick it more, talk, you know what I mean? And we kicked it to like maybe 5:30, 6 a.m. that morning, you know what I mean? Till she had to get back home to her son, but she was like, yo, this is really fun, you know what I mean? She was like, not only you're interested in, you know what I mean, but shoot, so when the bill came, I pulled out my money. You know what I mean? I, pulled out my money to leave a tip. And then I told the waitress, pay with this credit card, it was like a black card that caught Rocky's attention. She was like, what is it that you do? You're a rapper? Well, I was like, nah, I ain't no rapper. So she started naming different names. I'm like, nah, I ain't that neither. So that's when, she smiled and then, she did the finger thing like, come here. And then when I leaned over, she whispered in my ear, she was like, oh, you like some type of street pharmacist? And then I started laughing. And I looked at Rocky G and said, I plead the fifth. And she was like, gotcha. And we laughed and shit. So, so we get up, she drives me back to the Airbnb, so she asked me how long I'm gonna be out here. I said, I'm gonna be out here, as long as you want me to. And, as long as, I can solidify, my spot, you know what I mean? And she said, your spot, yeah, cause I'm trying to make you wifey, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be out here. I said, I'm gonna stay out here at least a month, until me and you get real comfortable with each other. So she said you can, arrange that all for her. I was like, baby, I'm a boss, I do what I want, but I'm definitely gonna stay out here a month, you know what I mean? So that way so she's like, alright, cool. So we arranged to, meet up later on, so like for every day we was like just chilling, kicking it, you know what I mean? Just getting to know each other and going to the beach, shit like that. So like, and got down to the last week of when, I was in Miami like the last 2 weeks. So she invited me over. I go over, to her spot, I mean, of course, Power's not there, she has a condo in Miami. So I'm like, oh shit, this is where you shot this part of your own video here, and I'm naming all I'm like, this is the balcony where you did your little workout, and she's like, wow, you've been watching me for a minute. I was like, I told you I had the biggest crush on you. So we can kicking it, chilling and shit. This is my first time at her spot. So we chilling, we watching Netflix, chilling. You know what I mean? We both fell asleep on the couch. I ain't trying nothing, because like I said, I'm trying to really impress Rocky G. Boom. So we wake up the next day. So she was like, yo, you want to work out or whatever, because she got a gym downstairs in her condo. So I'm like, alright, cool. Because she could tell I work out too. So I'm like, fuck it. So we go downstairs. We work out and shit. We work out together. You know what I'm saying? And, we did legs, because Rocky G got the sexiest, biggest, thickest legs, so we working legs and shit. Like I said, I kept my composure. So boom. Alright, so we did that. So then now it comes down to like the night before or the last day while I'm in Miami. So she texted me, she was like, yo, I like the fact that you've been around me and you haven't tried anything. She was like, yeah. I was like, I know. And I was telling her, well, I'm leaving on this day. She was like, I know. She was like, that's why I feel you deserve some pussy before you leave. I'm like, and I'm kind of shocked, but at the same time when I read that text, my dick instantly got hard. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, yeah. She was like, yeah. She said, because you've been a gentleman up to this point. And you've been out here a whole month just to get to know me, and you ain't tried it, So she said, yo, what do you like to eat? I said, other than you? And then she, put the laughing emoji. She was like, yeah. So I said, Jamaican food. She said, cool. I'm having my chef come by, make some Jamaican food. I told her I love oxtails, rice and peas, curry goat, white rice. You know what I mean? oxtail gravy on everything, you know what I mean? Jerk chicken, all that shit. So she said, alright, she gonna have her chef make all that, cause if you ever went to her channel on YouTube, she kind of know a chef, black dude. Boom. So now, I pull up to her condo, you know what I mean? Hop out and shit, go up, in the condo. Nah, at this point, the chef is gone, of course her son is with the sitters, or with her family or whatever, it's just her at the condo. And she opens the door, she got, this black see-through robe and this lace, like lingerie shit on with like the shreds on the stockings, oh my god. And them legs is just like, oh shit. So, walk in, this our first time kissing. She kissed me on the lips, some tonguing her down. Of course, I grabbed that ass. My first time grabbing that ass now, even though we cuddled, like I never tried, so now I'm grabbing that ass. So, she grabbed my hand, we walk in, we eat, you know what I mean? We eat or whatever. So after we finished eating, she was like, so she took off, lingerie roll, and then, we start getting in, boom, kissing, hugging. Boom. You know what I mean? Showing my head skills. First I stood up, bent over, ate that ass from the back, ate that pussy in the ass from the back. Boom, freaked out. So now we go in the bedroom, take off my clothes. You know what I mean? When I pulled my boxes down, her eyes got big. You know what I mean? She was like, damn. She says, I knew you was, packing, but she was like, damn, that motherfucker long. I'm like, yeah. So boom, you know what I mean? So, I put the condom on. Boom, tearing it down. Boom, tearing it down, tearing it down. And them legs was heavy, cause this is a thick woman. This woman's 250, nigga. This Rocky G, nigga. You know what I mean? She, she could crush a watermelon with her legs. That's another thing. Type in Rocky G on YouTube. She crushed watermelons with her thighs. So that's why when I, was giving her head and she was squeezed, that shit used to hurt. But yeah, I'm, tearing it down. Boom, tearing it down. Hitting it from the back, boom, sounded like, how you hear thunder crackling in the sea. That's how it sounded when I was hitting that ass from the back to just cloud, cloud, cloud. You know what I mean? I'm tearing that shit up, you know what I mean? It's like a dream, and I'm trying to hold back that nut. That's why I keep pulling out, because I don't want to nut fast, because I'm excited, because this is Rocky G. Boom, tearing it up. Then finally I just let it out. Blast off, you know what I'm saying? So, we had sex again in the morning, then I had to leave, so now I'm back in Dallas. Me and Rocky, we texting every day, you know what I'm saying? So we texting every day and shit. And, I told her I want her to come down to Dallas, you know what I mean? So I could show her around, so she said, alright. So, my nigga Duke, shout out to Duke Farrell, he was having boots on the ground contest / party. So it was like, everybody's gonna dress up in their cowboy boots, cowboy hats. How Duke Farrell wears a cowboy hat all year round, so this ain't nothing new to him. But being that everybody's into this boots on the ground shit, he said, well, I'm gonna throw a party / contest where everybody can wear their cowboy boots and hats and have fun. So I told Rocky Giovanni about it. She said, that sounds fun, she never did nothing like that, so boom, so, I told her, to go buy some, some cowboy boots, cowboy hat, and some, some nice short shorts so she could show them legs when we go to the party, because I already bought my cowboy hat, boots, shirt or whatever. So, she did that, so then she flies into Dallas. I pick her up, boom, so I pick her up, kiss, hug, you know what I mean, and see her, you know what I mean. It'll, in a few weeks since the last time I was in, you know what I mean, in motherfucking Miami, but it felt like we've been dealing with, how you feeling somebody so much, it feel like I've been in a relationship forever. So boom, we in Dallas, we driving down. So I'm playing Platinum's music, I'm playing like, songs from my nigga Platinum and shit. So Rocky G, she feeling the music. She's like, who this? I'm like, that's Platinum. That's, Luke. And the kid I was with when we was on the boat ride. She was like, oh, I like this. And, it was like, I was playing like his girl songs because Platinum is versatile. He can make songs about girls, gangster shit, whatever. So I played like 2 songs. She said, well, my brother rap. My brother's King Hoodie. Look him up. King Hoodie. So she played some of his joint. He had like a J. Cole, Kendrick vibe. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, maybe, they can collab together. She was like, yeah, that'd be kind of fire. She was like, maybe, I was like, yeah, we're going to introduce them. Maybe, I'll take you to the studio, hear some more of it music, you could FaceTime your brother, see what, we can get a collab going. She like, alright. So as we driving this shit, I see this bitch ass nigga named Bing. Now this nigga Bing been talking shit about Farrago, me, and everybody online and shit. I'm like, hold on, baby. So I pull over. So I pull up on this nigga named Bing. I'm like, yo, Bing, what up, my nigga? And he's shocked. I'm like, yeah, you was talking mad shit. So Bing, I guess, thinking just 'cause he came home, he big and shit, that means something, so he talking shit. I'm like, yes, I pull out and then pow, shot him in his fucking leg and shit, right? Nigga screaming. So then, I run to the car and I take off. So Rocky G like, what the fuck? So she's shocked. She was like, yo, did you just shoot a motherfucker? I'm like, yeah, what I mean? This nigga been disrespecting the nigga I work for, Farrago. He told me on site, make sure, I get at that nigga, what I mean? Let him know that shit ain't sweet. And she's like, oh, hell no. She was like, what the she was like, yo, she's like, I can't be out here. She's like, you done shot a motherfucker. She said, nigga, you gonna have me in handcuffs on the 5 o'clock news. What the fuck? So then that's when I started laughing and shit. And at first, when I looked at her, she just had like this look like in shock, but then she started laughing. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I was like, my bad, but that's how shit is, what I mean? Like, Dallas is crazy. So, we go back to my condo, we kick it, what I mean? Rocky G walking around in thongs and shit, no top, what I mean? Comfortable and shit. 'Cause now that's like wifey now, we having sex all the time and shit, boom. So now, we go to, Duke Fowles, Boots on the Ground event, so, of course, we take the Lambo, so now we drive in the Lambo, speeding on the highway, we pull up to Duke Fowles event. I got my cowboy hat on, shirt open, sleeves cut off, what I mean, Wrangler jeans or whatever, Lee jeans or whatever, cowboy boots. Rocky G got her cowboy boots on, short shorts with these big ass thick thighs. Shirt, tied up to show the waist and the sleeves cut off in a cowboy hat. So we get out the Lambo, we hold hands, all eyes is on us, what I mean? The ladies not only looking at me, but they looking at Rocky G, 'cause like I said, them legs is like, and that ass is like, so it was like all the attention was on us. The nigga Brandon, my nigga Captain, aka Brandon, he was there. He had a cowboy hat on and boots, and he's sitting on this horse, 'cause Brandon got a horse named Skip. So he rolled, and so everybody's pulling up in cars. This nigga Brandon, Captain, he rides up on a horse, what I mean? So, everybody got their phones out taking pictures and video of Brandon sitting on the horse. Girls taking pictures with the horse and Brandon. Brandon even gave a couple girls horseback rides and shit. What I mean? So, of course Rocky wanted to take a picture with the horse. So I took a picture of her and Brandon and the horse. And boom, we go inside. Jackie's there, what I mean? Thick, with the cowboy boots hat. Her sister Sweet Pea, there, 88 there, everybody was there, so, everybody's dancing, what I mean? First it was the regular music, then they put the boots on the ground shit. And Jackie's been practicing, so Jackie's killing it, what I mean? I practice a little bit. Me and Rocky was practicing a little bit, watching YouTube videos, so we was kind of getting it. So everybody was like getting down to the boots on the ground shit, knowing the dance and shit, having fun and shit. Jackie won the prize because, like I said, she'd been practicing, she killing it. Boom, so we did that. So as we leaving, what I mean? Rocky wanted to take some pictures on the Lambo, so I took pictures of her on the Lambo with the cowboy hat and the boots. So now we drive off. We take off soon. We driving that, so she's happy because she's like, yo, finally a night with no drama, what I mean? Because remember, people was arguing and fighting at the boat ride, and then, I just shot a nigga. So she's like, finally, black people come together with no drama. Cool, so, so that's when, we kicked it for the rest of the night. More sex and shit. So the next day, I take her to the studio so she can see Platinum recording. So, Platinum's recording. So she calls up her brother King Hoodie so he can hear the music. So King Hoodie's listening to the music. That's Rocky G's brother. So you like, yo, that music dope. So then when Platinum gets out the booth, we introduced him. It's like, oh, alright. So they was like, yeah, we need to work on something. He was like, yeah, we need to work something, maybe we could work on some music, whatever. So that's when Rocky said, yo, she told her brother Hoodie, she was like, don't you got a show coming up in Miami? He was like, yeah, he got a show. I forgot the name of the show. He said he got a show coming up. He gonna be performing. And he was like, maybe, so she was like, so I started networking. I'm like, well, maybe Platinum could do like 2 songs on your set or whatever. I was like, if you need me to slide a couple dollars, it's nothing, my nigga. And he was like, nah. He was like, since you've been treating my sister good, you know what I mean? We can do that, whatever. You ain't gotta pay her nothing because, you've been treating my sister good. This is the happiest I've seen her since she, had the baby and since our mom's passed or whatever. So I'm like, no doubt. So we negotiate, Platinum to perform with King Hoodie. When King Hoodie performed, he gonna bring Platinum out. It's like a big festival or some like show they was having in Miami. Where the festival was outside, like a free concert. And then, I think Trick Daddy was performing, Trina, Rick Ross, like a couple of the Miami legends, City Girls, DJ Khaled, all of that shit, right? But they was gonna have to open an acts way before that, cause they don't come till like probably like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So Platinum and all them gonna perform earlier in that day. So King Hoodie agreed to let Platinum do like 2 songs on his set. So cool. So we negotiated that. Boom. So now, we fly back to Miami. It's the day of the show and shit. So now, King Hoodie is gonna perform. So King Hoodie had his DJ. I booked DJ Bae to come up because I want a DJ Bae to DJ for Platinum. So King Hoodie has his DJ up there. DJ Bae is standing on the side, and she's only gonna touch the turntables or whatever when Platinum come up. Cool. So Wacky G, she's out in the crowd to watch her brother perform. She wants to record on her phone and shit. I'm in the back with Platinum. So that way, when he go up on the stage, I'll be backstage. So cool. So King Hoodie, Rocky G's brother, he's performing. So now, we know when we heard a certain song, it's our time to make our way towards the steps so that way Platinum can go up and go out. Because King Hoodie going to introduce him. So as we going towards the steps, this security guard walks up and it's the Trap nigga. It's Trap. I'm like, what the fuck? So then that's when it dawned on me. Trap got laughed out the game. Cause remember Trap got caught up in all the gay rumors and all that shit. So I guess he couldn't live that street life no more. He had to get a regular job, so now he's a security guard. So of course we know each other from that. But he trying to like flex his muscle now. So you like, nah, hold on, y'all can't. I'm like, yo, my man. I was like, yo, Trap. I was like, I know we had our differences, but I'm like, yo, don't do this. I was like, my nigga gotta perform. So he's like, nah, y'all can't. I'm like, yo, watch out, man. So we kind of like push past him to go to the steps. So Platinum's already walking up the steps. But Trap is like in my way. So he put his arm like, yo, something like, yo, man, my nigga gotta perform. We get out the way. He was like, yo, don't go up the steps. So I went. Now, mind you, it's me, Platinum. And Platinum got like 7 of his niggas from New Orleans, there, because they did support, So it's like 7 of Platinum's people from New Orleans, Platinum and me, so it's like 9 of us. So Platinum's already heading up the steps. I'm about to go, but then this nigga, Trap, grabbed my arm so hard after he pulled it out the socket. That's when I punched the nigga in his face. Boom, set it. Boom, punched him in his face. So me and Trap start fighting. You know what I mean? And one of Platinum's boys, they jumped in it. So it was like these 2 white boys, security guards, that was going to help Trap, but they like big for nothing. They ain't really want to get in because the New Orleans like back the fuck up. So that's when the other security guards started coming. Some black dudes, they wanted to start fighting, but then one of the, Platinum's people grabbed this small fire extinguisher, started swinging that shit, backing niggas up. So Platinum looked back, he saw we started fighting, so that's when Platinum, he jumps off the steps. Like Rey Mysterio, he jumps off the steps and hits Trap in the head with the mic. Boom. So all this is going on while King Hoodie's performing, so the crowd don't know, Rocky don't know, King Hoodie don't know. So that's when this other security guard come, he comes pepper spraying niggas, pepper print spraying niggas. So niggas would get pepper sprayed. I caught some of the pepper spray in one of my eyes, but not my other eye, so I got one eye open. I'm like, fuck. So that's when I grabbed Platinum, and I pushed him. I'm like, yo, just go. So he goes up the steps. So with all the melee going on, as soon as I heard DJ Bae's voice on the microphone, on the loudspeaker, and Platinum, the music dropped, I knew, that was Platinum's cue to go out, so Platinum goes out there. He's rapping and shit, but people can't hear him, because remember, he just hit Trap upside the head with the microphone, so he goes to King Hoodie. He grabs King Hoodie's mic to switch the mics, and now the people could hear him, so he's performing. So he did like 2 songs, crowd loved it, boom. But it was like a melee backstage. People started choking from the pepper spray, so we had to get out of there. So by the time Platinum get off the stage, we wasn't there, so I guess he went back, and then we met up somewhere else, so now one of my eyes are mad red, so by the time King Hoodie and Platinum perform this shit, me and Rocky G meet up, and she's like, why your eyes so red? I was like, nothing, it's nothing. I didn't want to say that we had, a little drama backstage and shit. So, she congratulating her little brother on his performance. She's congratulating Platinum on his performance. Hey, then we're good. Now, mind you, we ain't telling her about the fight. I'm like, nah, they don't need to know that. So now I'm back at, the condo with Rocky and shit. I'm chilling on the couch. Platinum's back, at the hotel somewhere. King Hoodie done went on home. We ain't stayed for the performances, cause it's getting late and shit. So I'm just chilling on the couch watching TV. Rocky Giovanni phone rings, she answers it. So she's talking, to the people on the phone. She's like, yeah. And she looked at me, she got like this disappointed look. She's like, okay. So she hung up, and she's like, yo, what happened at the Feather? I'm like, nothing happened. She was like, so nothing happened. So then that's when she started saying she know about the fight and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, shit. So she said, yeah, those, she said that she networked, Platinum to get on that show, and that now the sponsor is threatening not to fuck with her brother because of that shit. Because, like trying to blame us, and now they want to blame her. And she was like that she can't have that, she's not trying to ruin her brother's chances because of, So she was mad at me, so I'm like, so, we argued about that shit. So she said, yo, she was like, it's been a lot of drama. She was like, every time I'm around you, she was like, you make me happy and shit, but then it's like a lot that come with you. So, we was arguing a little bit. So, I was like, I said, keep it real. I was like, you just was using me to kill Tom because, you wanted to get over your drama with your baby father and shit, because I was like, you had no intentions of being with me. The intentions was to be with your baby father. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, I was like, you just look at me as a human dildo, someone that can make you come, have sex with you. And, you look at me as some street nigga. You don't look at me, you don't think that I'm on your level. And then that's when I pulled up. Because this is around the time she was still filming for her show, Rocky's World. So I pulled up on the phone, and I played the episode that just came out with her saying that how, when she was looking for a house, you could look it up with Rocky G with house shopping. And she said, yo, and she told the white lady on the show that, yo, that one of the closets was too small, that her son's father clothes and shoes can't even fit in this closet. So I was like, so basically, you plan on still being. And then that's when she put her head down. She was like, look, that, she don't know how to feel. She said when they broke up, she was heartbroken. But now that, they've been texting and, talking, he wants his family back. And she was like, look, she just said, I got a baby with him. I gotta see if we could be together. We got a son together. We got a family. All that shit. So I'm like, whatever. So I just grabbed my shit. And, I left. She texted me a few times, but that was, the last time I seen Rocky Giovanni, but I ain't gonna lie, me and Rocky had a lot of fun. For the time we was together, it was like living a fantasy, a dream come true, but like I said, she always looked at me as just some street nigga, And, Rocky G, she's on another level right now, she's dealing with like oil and solar panels and shit, so like her business mind is on another level, and she's still successful to this day. So shout out to Rocky Giovanni, shout out to her little brother King Hoodie, and it is what it is, not me.